Cabo.
Share Lafiani. Peace and blessings. I am IFA Jaminire.
I am IFA Tengunshe.
And you were tuned into
the best,
the greatest
podcast
on the planet Earth.
Let's talk IFA. Ashe.
Wow. Ire Lopo. Ire Bobo. We are praying for all good things for our people. For all of our listeners, for our supporters, for our chosen ones in our program, our African Spirituality Blueprint 7-week program. For all those who are loving and supporting us, we appreciate you and we love you back. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to Let's Talk IFA. To communicate with us, please email us at LetsTalkIFA@gmail.com.
And don't forget to donate.
Ashe. So we're here.
Into it.
It's been a very interesting and powerful the last 4 days or so from coming off of the last weekend. So we'll get into that in a moment. But today's podcast is on peace, unity, and progress.
Peace, unity, and progress. That is in order. That peace, first you got to have peace, and then you have the unity, and then you have the progress.
You can have the progress. And this concept, for all my Niger people already know where this came from. This concept comes from the Nigerian flag, the green, white, green.
Yes.
Peace, unity, and progress. And this topic was inspired by a peace meeting that we had recently for Oyotunji Kingdom, by Oyotunji Kingdom, that was also facilitated by our elders and our fathers from Ile-Ife. We want to thank Kabiesi, the Oni of Ife, Kabiesi. We want to thank the Oni of Ife for sending
his delegates,
top delegates to the states, to Oyotunji Kingdom, to complete the final rites for our OBA, and to also have a peace meeting. We learned a lot just by watching and listening and observing. So we are thankful to our delegation, who was consisted of Kabiesi Obalufe, who is the second in command to the Oni of Ife. So the Oni is the Oni inside. Obalufe is the Oni of the outside. Then we have Rabbi Agbaye that also came. We thank a rabbi. A rabbi of Ile-Ife,
Rabbi Agbaye,
and a Rabbi Agbaye, the Araba, or the highest ranking Araba or Ifa priest, Babalawo,
in the whole world.
Eredumi, Oramiyan, the head of the Oramiyan temple from Ile-Ife. And we thank you, Baba. And also we thank Oba Salu. who is another Oba, one of the Onis, Oba from Ile-Ife. So these four people, we want to thank you again. They made up the delegation that came, and the peace meeting was a tremendous success. It was history. You know, history was made.
History sealed.
Ashe. History was made with this visit, with this meeting, and with the final rites that were done. So, with that said, peace, unity, and progress. You know, we didn't understand at first why it was so important to have the peace meeting first. And after the meeting, we understood. because that was actually the first part of the sacrifice. That was the first part of the ebo, of the cleansing rites and rituals for KBAC and or Yatunji.
For the town. Yeah. So, I mean, what I learned is that one of the things I learned is when you're doing such a big etutu above such, sometimes, because a lot of times we just rush into doing an abba, because etutu, something big of that magnitude, it requires a level of balance or harmony.
I say.
Even before going into the ritual.
Banning.
And so, when etutu is done for a town or something that's big. Not to say that it's always wrong, but for realignment or readjustment of the town or of the family or someone's destiny or whatever. And so one of the things that I learned was sometimes, or a lot of times, and I think I'm going to put this even into practice with my own clients before Ebal, is whatever you seeking, you gotta go within. Because that's one of the things I heard a couple of the delegates say. You got to have peace within yourself. If you don't have peace within yourself, then it's gonna throw everything around you off. So if you want peace, if you're doing anything, any type of ebal or whatever you're doing to bring peace, first of all, you got to have peace within yourself. You got to go in. You got to relax yourself. Sometimes you got to get away from people. That's one of the things I saw one of the delegates do. They went in, and they ain't come out. But I understood why. I said, okay, we're doing this because of peace. And sometimes you do have to go in. You have to step away from people. You have to be away from the noise in order to create that peace, especially when you the officiator of the ceremony. You got to go into the ceremony for peace. You got to, the officiator, the person that's officiating it, has to have peace so that whatever they invoke, that's what it's going to bring. It's going to bring that peace. So you got to go within in order to establish peace first before you can have peace with all of the other people around you.
And one of the things that I realized that was really deep is this peace meeting. It was almost like a group therapy session. So that reorients my mind around the importance of communication. And because that's really all therapy is.
It's learning how to communicate.
It's learning how to communicate your own feelings, listening to other people, whatever even if what they're saying is negative, just listening and letting them get it out. Because this is a gem right here. Sometimes resolution is just forgiving each other and moving on.
Oh, sure.
You're not always going to go back and forth and like this word resolve is it's not what a lot of people think it is. Sometimes the resolution is to just move on.
Yeah.
It really is. And this meeting, this group therapy session, it kind of opened my eyes because I was like, wow, like this really shifted the energy before we went into the spiritual work. So now I'm looking at things a little differently now here with clients and people, especially when you got family or relationship issues. Everybody just want to run and do in that ball because that's easy to go spend your money and get some materials and maybe an animal or two, and then do the chanting and do some prayers and do the airball, and then you think that that's not gonna take the place of peace. It's not gonna take the place of the meeting, of the therapy session.
Mm-hmm. You gotta, and sometimes now individually, you gotta, if you have issues of peace as an individual, I said before you even step into getting the DIFI, if you know you need to go to the priest for a divination because you having difficulties in your life, or it's too much noise going on around you, it's too much going on around you, so you need, and you know your Ori tells you you need peace, before you even go for divination, I would say put yourself in a state of peace before you even go in for the divination. So when you do go for the divination, it's basically saying, okay, you need to do this, that, and the other in order to bring yourself deeply into that peace that you're searching for, or that IFA know you need.
Benny.
You know what I mean? A lot of people, like you said, they just want to rush, get something done, and then when they like, it didn't work.
Right.
Well, you didn't do the other part. You didn't do the other part for yourself. It's like a lot of this stuff is self-communication first. Now, group therapy is a different thing because you have to, the peace comes when you can sit. Sometimes you're gonna have different minds in the group, and everybody think differently. Everybody react differently. Some intensely than others. So, but you do have to let them get it out.
You have to
let them speak.
Don't interrupt them, no matter what they saying.
Seal your lips, even if you itching to quiet them because you know they saying something wrong. Just let them get it out, and then peacefully communicate with them the issue. One thing I know about with peace is that when you're trying to achieve a level of peace of mind, you got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. You got to know your strength. You got to know your weaknesses. And you got to be able to read yourself. Because a lot of times people they blame other people around them for why they're not progressing or moving forward. But it's really you. You're really not reading yourself. Or you may have a fear of doing that because of what you're going to discover. But you remember the podcast we did on fear? It's like, don't be afraid to check yourself. Don't be afraid to read yourself. Don't be afraid to analyze yourself, to write your weaknesses or strengthen your weaknesses.
Benny.
And that's how you come into that peace that you're looking for.
You know, the other thing that I learned is that sometimes you do need a neutral party to come in and help diffuse the energy. Because when you have a group of people that have known each other for so long, and there's so much history and background, and there's so much, sometimes you do need somebody else to come in that's basically neutral and objective to help facilitate things, to help, keep and maintain the spirit of that peace. Because without that, sometimes, like the brother said, some people can react very intensely, and then the meeting can, or the group session, or the meeting, or the thing, it can spiral out of control. Because once one person gets annoyed and another person gets annoyed, and then it just starts to fall apart. That neutral party in this case was like the glue.
Right.
That kind of held everything together and kept everything, set the tone, and kept it on a positive note.
Right.
You know, and then you also have to have structure to the group session or to the meeting or whatever it is. You can't just have everybody just being able to just rant for 10 and 15 minutes and just go on about. It has to be kind of controlled.
Because emotions get involved after that. You know, you do have to have a time limit for everybody when it comes to that group therapy.
Get to the point.
Session is like, okay, you got 2 minutes to say what you got to say because, you know, some people like to rant more than others.
Yeah.
So they'll try to take up the whole, you know, and then they'll tap into their emotions and then it just takes everything, you know, gets too emotional, intense, and then you off track of what the whole purpose was about.
Yeah, it gets lost now. Everybody
so now then that goes into arguing, it goes into fussing, and there goes the pieces out the door. There's no peace now because there was no order. So order is very important, and the elders are the ones who really set the tone for the therapy.
I say
you got to let the elders talk because once the elders put in that wisdom, it reminds the other people or the younger people that, okay, this is how we need to speak. This is the level we need to be on because we don't want to embarrass ourselves, and mostly we don't want to embarrass our families. Because that's a big thing that you got to understand in African culture. If you are out of line and you are out of order, you're not only embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing your family, you're embarrassing your ancestors. So that's why as African people, we have to be, we have to pretty much watch what we say and how we say it. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to embarrass ourselves and we don't want to embarrass our ancestors.
The other thing, this was deep, that I wanted to speak on is sometimes things can be handled within your group or your family. You don't have to go out and announce your grievances to the world, right? This is popular now because we have social media. As soon as people get in their feelings and they get emotional, they hop on social media and they airing it out to the world. And a lot of these things should just be between you and the parties that you have a grievance with, or the family, or the kingdom, or the village, or whatever it is, instead of going outside, because there are, especially when there are systems and mechanisms set up to resolve those differences within your own, let's say your own house. You know, you don't have to go outside all the time, you know, and it can be unnecessary, and it can become messy and embarrassing for all those involved, when we could just, it's just like black people is classic. Like, we're classic for doing this to each other and with each other, where we take our grievances to
we tear each other
the world.
Down.
Yeah, we tear each other down on social media for the whole world to see.
So they can say, look,
and we shouldn't do that.
They still acting like heathens.
Yeah, let's do that behind closed doors. Let's get on our people, or let's take care, handle what we need to do inside our house.
Because there's no oaths and there's no traditions anymore. There's no secrets. There's no pledges. People don't pledge allegiance to anything anymore.
Decorum, tact.
Decorum, tact, all of that stuff, that's within family. Because what happens in the family stays in the family. It don't go outside the family. And those are oaths that you make to the family. But people don't do these things anymore. People just, because emotion is ruling right now. And then you got these social platforms that's so easy. You can download Facebook, you can download TikTok, you can download IG and all of that. And you can just say, you know what? I'm going to just hash it out, because nobody, and you know what's a famous thing people use? Nobody is hearing me.
Yeah, people looking for attention.
You don't understand me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Teenagers is good for that. Yeah. You don't understand me. You just don't understand where I'm coming from. And it's like, listen, you too young right now. You don't even understand life. So I'm going to tell you how you need to move right now. Parents don't discipline their children anymore. So now these children are becoming adults and they have these emotional imbalances. And then they got these platforms where they can easily
hop on there and just say whatever.
Say whatever they want to say out their mouth. They spill their whole family business.
Yep.
Right on social media.
It's going on.
Or they'll tell somebody, one of their friends, and then one of their friends or put it on social media. You know what I mean? So that's the problem. But if families learn to come together when there's a problem and learn to sit at a round table and discuss the problem, listen to each other at peace. Let everybody speak in turn, starting from the elder to the youngest, and everybody speak in turn, and they get a certain amount of minutes to speak. And the elder can go as long as they want to because they're the elder. But the rest of the when it trickles down, everybody is given a time limit to say what they need to say. The problem may not be solved during that family therapy, but you can always come back.
Right.
And you can come back. And the more you come back, the more unified you become. The more you begin to understand each other. The more that communication gets better. It's always, I remember when we was growing up in Oyatunji, the families had family meetings. You had compounds with families, but I know on our compound, we had probably like a meeting every week. There was a meeting, and that's when the baba and the yayas and all of the young people came, and everybody communicated. You know what I mean? That was the early 80s and stuff like that. That was back in those days. We
have lost that.
We've lost that. But a lot of problems can be solved.
Yep.
Financial problems. Communication issues within the family. Things that the family can do as a unit. All of those types of problems can be solved simply by sitting down and communicating.
Communication, conflict resolution. This is the concept that we're talking about is the key. Conflict resolution.
It's important. People, it's so important.
I gotta tell this story that Kabiesi Obalufe told us about keeping things in and taking care of things in.
I know which one you're gonna say.
Igun is the vulture.
The vulture. I knew that word was coming.
So in this story that Kabiesi narrated for us, it's basically, taboo for anybody to kill and eat the vulture. It's just, people just don't do it, But if you have an older woman, she can do it. They can do it, but they do it inside and they do it quietly. They don't go out and tell people, because if you go out and tell people, then people are going to make a big deal about it. Even though it's okay for them to do it, they can't say it out. So the analogy and the point of the story was, things can go a lot better and smoother if you just take care of things in-house.
Sure.
And you don't have to go out with, like, this goes for husband and wife relationships. This goes for all. Dr. Umar, his daughter doing it now. They going back and forth on social media. I don't know if you saw that. People, let's not do that. Let's have class. Decorum. Let's have tact. Let's have decorum. Let's have respect. Let's have accountability. We don't have to go back and forth on social media for everybody else to point and laugh at us and exploit our own weaknesses.
Yeah, that's within, that's family.
Yeah.
Daughter should not go on, or daughter or son should not go on any social media platforms and air out their father's or their mother's issues.
Y'all issues. Husband and wife.
You get
same thing.
Back in the days, you got a whooping, or you had to wash your mouth out with soap. If your tongue was what do they call that? You had a loose tongue. You know, you got your mouth washed out with soap.
Or you got pop in it.
Right. They don't, these disciplines doesn't happen anymore because now children can take their parents to jail, or they can call the police on their parents, and the police, who is the parent, most of all, will take that parent to jail.
Yes,
it's out of order.
That's a whole nother conversation. But
I'm just saying, if that person, if you said, if your daughter has some issues with you, you can call your father up and say, you know, Dad or Baba, you know, I'm feeling this way. I just want to talk to you and see how we can resolve this.
And if you tried to do that and it didn't work, find another family member. Find a friend of the family. Find a mediator. But don't go on social media. It's embarrassing. It's inappropriate. And it's not cool.
You're embarrassing yourself and your ancestors.
And your ancestors.
And your family, your mama and your father, who are, your mother and your father is your Isheshe. They're part of your traditional lineage. You're embarrassing yourself and your parents when you air family business out in the public. You should not do that. You try to make peace and have a peace meeting with your parents, with your uncles, with your spouse,
with your whoever,
with your grandparents,
with your children,
whoever. Please, is important because it works. The communication works.
It works.
It works.
We are a witness. This was history in the making, and this peace meeting aired out and cleared the way for peace to reign from a long-lasting issues. And it doesn't just magically mean that the people that have issues are just going to change, but what it does do is it gets everybody on the same page that is trying to be peaceful. And if there are still people who do not want peace, then they will just be over there.
They know their limits. They know their limitations. They know how you can't go but so far when you come here.
Right.
You can't cross this line. Yeah, you can say what you need to say over here, but just know you can't cross this line with that attitude.
So peace, unity, and progress. So you can't have unity if you don't have peace. So like the KBAC said, KBAC Obasalu was saying that, I can see the people that are here that have greeted us, that are hosting us, that have contributed, that have donated, that are working, that are taking care of us. I can see that amongst you have peace. Y'all are peaceful. Y'all are happy. Nobody's perfect, but the Oba saw the peace, and he said he saw the unity because he saw us working together. We all had on our matching our shawl, our cloth. Everybody had on white the day before. So he was saying, okay, I can see the unity. Y'all all work together. We had to set up some tables and tents and chairs and food and all that stuff. We had to break it down. We had to do all those things. So, the peace and then the unity. Unity is the other big thing that we are lacking here. I would say in the diaspora, but especially as, African descendants, as melanated people in North America. And, we had it coming out, the 1800s, the early 1900s, all the way up the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s is when it all changed. When crack hit, 85, 86, 87, that's when the unity all changed. The black family structure changed. Our unity changed. Everything changed at that point.
Yeah, it was wow. Unity is one of those principles that,
let me read the definition.
It's something that has to be constantly improved on. Because you can be in unison and then you can fall out of it easy. And as humans, we go in between. 1 minute we can work together, next minute we don't want to be together. You know what I mean? So, first I always say you have to have unity within yourself. You got to understand yourself before you can really begin. You have to learn to work with yourself. Before you can work with others, because when you start working with others, you want to be confident that you can do your part. You know what I mean? You don't want to feel like someone has got to step in and do your part all the time because you're lacking. A lot of times people fall out of harmony and unity because they're not doing their part. So they feel that, okay, I need to remove myself, or I don't want to be part of this anymore. Or they feel they're not being heard, or they feel that they're not getting their due, and so they don't want to be part of the group anymore. One of the things I learned growing up is when you in a group and y'all working together, you're gonna always have weak links. But it's up to the people that are the strong ones to pick up those who are slacking. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta pick up your man. You gotta be patient enough with the people you work with, and if you see them slacking, you can't be afraid to say, "Hey, you slacking."
Yeah.
Do you need some help?
Yeah.
I can help you. Do you need me to show you how to do this? I can show you. You know what I mean? And that keeps the unity.
And you can help them to try to find their strong point at what they may be weak at this, but you might find out that they're strong at that.
Yeah.
So you got to evaluate and say, okay, they don't do well over here. Maybe they'll do better over here. Everybody is good at something.
Yes.
If you try. And like the Bible said, you have to have unity within yourself first, because if you don't have unity within yourself first, now your lane is not good enough. Now you got to get in somebody else's lane because you don't have the confidence or the ability to understand that God gave me this lane, my own lane, and it's sufficient. Now you're jealous,
right,
or you're envious because you want to be the OBA, or you want to be a chief, or you want to be about, well, maybe God put you here to be an artist or a carver or a drummer or a drum maker or an electrician or an engineer. Like, you know,
part.
Everybody plays a part in the nation. You know what I'm saying? And tap into your God-given talent and abilities. I'm going to read the definition real quick of unity. The state of being united or joined as a whole. Unity is being together or at one with someone or something. It is the opposite of being divided. This is a word for togetherness or oneness. So unity, you know, if you get enough ants together, they can lift up an elephant. Ants are the very definition of unity.
Oh, wow.
Ants and bees.
And bees.
Yeah.
Especially ants, because they work
as one. It'd be a million of them, but it's like it's one organism.
And they work on one specific.
That's how we gotta be.
Specific mission that a million ants are working on
in unison. all working together as one. Now imagine if we could do that. Imagine if
that's what people need black to be doing people for I'm telling you to be like the ants.
Imagine if we could do that over here with the $1.5 trillion a year that we spend
as a people.
Imagine if we had some type of unity, what we could do with that and how we could mobilize. Shout out to Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso with what you are doing and the neighboring countries are doing. You are displaying true unity and solidarity with yourself and your people to say, I'm not going to sell out to Europeans and just make me and my friends rich and squander the rest of the country. Enough of that. So that's another podcast altogether, but peace, unity, and progress. How are you going to make progress and you don't have peace and you don't have unity? The opposite of peace is chaos. Mm-hmm. The opposite of unity is division. Mm-hmm. So if you have chaos and division, how will you ever make progress? And that's why our people have not progressed. Mm-hmm. That's why they had to get rid of our real leaders when we had them. Martin Luther King started changing a couple of 2 or 3 years before he was assassinated. Malcolm X was changing. We had Marcus Garvey. We had Fred Hampton Jr. and some Panthers. They had to get rid of these people. They had to kill them or lock them up because they were a threat. Why? Because they were bringing peace. They were bringing unity and they were bringing progress in the black community. The free lunch system exists because of the Black Panthers, just in case y'all don't know that. Go back and study your history. We had peace amongst ourselves back then. Why? Because we had a common enemy. We didn't have time to we couldn't fight each other at that time because we were too busy fighting who we had to fight, our real enemy.
Yeah, we didn't got too relaxed.
We got too relaxed in the illusion that we have choices now, and we really don't have choices.
The slavery has turned into more of an economic slavery now. You know what I mean?
Economic, it's mental, it's still mental, spiritual, it's all across the board.
Spiritual warfare is big, it's real. So no relaxing. There's no time to really relax. Mm-hmm. We got to continue to educate. We got to continue to study, and those are the things that bring progress.
And let's talk about that.
And we got to work together in order to bring that progress. Let's look up
the definition real quick before we go into progress.
Yes,
because people have different definitions of progress. Progress for you may not mean the same thing as progress means for me. Progress, forward or onward movement toward a destination.
You can't do it by yourself.
And you can't do it without a destination. That's what I'm saying.
You gotta have a mission. You gotta have a mission.
So to some people, for instance, progress was having a black president. For some people, progress is having black judges and mayors and governors and lawyers and congressmen and senators and all that. And that's cool. That's great. But what does real progress look like? Because we still own less than 1% of all the wealth in this country. So when we say progress, we have to define that. And everybody, well, not everybody, but people, a certain group of people need to agree on what is that destination. What defines progress for us as a people? Because we've had people in the highest positions in the land, and we are still faced with the issues and the racial injustice and the biases and the unfairness and all of the harsh realities of being black in America.
I think we got worse since we had a black president.
Yeah, we got lazy.
I think we got worse since we had, we started getting these black mayors or whomever, or these black people in these high positions, because all they doing is following the same system and the same script.
And those who try not to follow it, we know what happens to them.
Yeah.
You get blackballed, or you get killed, or you get fired, or you just get cast aside.
Even if you get blackballed, it's like, if you get blackballed, to me, that's just saying that you need to do your own thing. That's what I like about
let's create our own table.
What I like about Damon Dash, he got blackballed, but he started doing his own thing.
Let's create our own. We don't
create his own.
If these people don't want us at their table, we can make our own table. That's the whole thing that I think we have forgotten. Because you can't beat the video game that somebody else created. I don't care what you do.
You can't beat the system that somebody else have established. Mm-hmm. You can't beat them at their own system. You just can't do it. They ain't gonna let you get but so far. I don't care if you become the president. A black president couldn't do but so much. And everybody say, well, Obama did this and Obama did that. Yeah. To me, I think we done got a little worse. I think we got too relaxed.
Yeah.
And so there's no progress. I think the unity fell apart because we got too relaxed.
We don't have, amongst black people, amongst African descendants here in the diaspora, we're not really at peace with each other, and we don't really have unity. Mm-mm. So how can there be progress? We got 29 different definitions of what progress is.
Yeah, nobody is on the same
page.
And even in the Isheshe community, I think the Isheshe community is getting a little scattered because it's so much division now because of religious practices. People are treating this. If we was more on a higher cultural level,
on the culture,
I think we would be able to relate more than on the spiritual practices part, because that's where people are separating.
That's where they differ.
They're like, well, my people come from over here, so we do the real thing,
right?
And y'all not doing the real thing.
The real thing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. You have that part is what always divides black people. That religious mindset, is always separating us. However, if we were more on the cultural level, as I stated, those things we can relate to each other with. Right. Everybody know how to kunle.
Right.
Everybody know how to greet an elder.
Well, I don't know about that.
Everybody know. Well, you know.
You know what you're saying.
Yeah. Those who do,
we can relate more on a cultural level.
If we can do that on a cultural level, we can be more unified. And because I think that's where it starts, and that starts at home. That starts with family.
At home. And shout out to those of us who are doing it. Let's take a moment,
because there are those
to celebrate
who are
and recognize, those of us who are moving that way, and who are attempting to that have some peace and some unity and some progress amongst ourselves, amongst our elays. There are some beautiful groups and movements out here with people that are thinking,
they're
alike, that are moving together. So we just need to increase that more to show an example to those who may not understand that concept.
Because you don't have to be. You may not even be in IFA. You may not even be in Christianity or any type of spiritual group or whatever. You can just be onto yourself, but basic culture. You know that when you see your father, you know that I'm not going to talk to him and I'm on his level. I got to bend a little bit. You know what I mean? It's just specific things as a people that you should know. And it don't have to be a religious or even a spiritual attachment to that. It's just plain culture.
I say.
You know what I mean? It's just plain culture. You can be I can be a Yoruba IFA priest, and you can be a Christian, African Christian or African American Christian, and we don't have to be separated because you practice that and I practice this. We don't have to. We can relate more on the cultural level, and that's how we progress, because we all don't have to have the same beliefs in order to work together. We don't have to believe in the same thing. My mother used to say, it was a saying. She said, I don't care what God you believe in, but when it comes to culture, we should be able to relate. I don't care what gods, or if you believe in one God or a trillion gods. That's your personal business. But when it comes to culture, we have to learn how to relate on that level.
Look, Nat Turner would have identified as Christian. That's one of my biggest heroes. Because he took the Bible and Christianity and he used his orrery to interpret it for what he needed it to be, and led one of the biggest slave revolts in America ever. An hour and a half from where I grew up. 30 minutes down the road from where my mother and them are from. You know? Martin Luther King, another one of my heroes. Malcolm X. These people were Christian, Muslim, or whatever. That don't matter. It's all about the mindset.
And being on the same page.
It's all about the mindset and being on the same page. As long as we got that same destination in mind, it doesn't matter if you Ifa or you Lukumi or you Christian or Muslim or whatever, because even Christians and Muslims and us, people fight and bicker and argue amongst themselves with the inner factions that are within those denominations.
It don't matter if I use river water and you use Florida water.
Not the Florida water. Come on, y'all. We gotta think and be together more. Maybe now that people saw the video with IFA Delegation, that they'll stop saying that, you know, we don't do Ishe or Yatunji and all these things. I don't know where people get this stuff from.
They had the Araba Agbaye down there. They do the real IFA now.
Now we do the real IFA.
Now we good.
We good now.
In the house.
No, we like to joke. We like to have fun. But seriously, though, this peace meeting, it shifted the whole energy. Because, you know, if I think about it, had we just done those rituals without having that peace meeting, it wouldn't have had the same effect.
You know, I loved it because I was happy that the delegates, they came, they showed us how to do the final rites ceremony, how to do it, do it
from the beginning to the end. We learned a lot from watching our delegation.
We know how to do that. You know, not just the ritual part, but just the part in saying, in order to bring a certain harmony to the land, in order to bring a certain harmony to the family, in order to bring a certain harmony to yourself, before you go and start sacrificing anything, you know, go to your place of solitude and meditate and pray, do whatever you need to do to call on that energy within yourself. Then step out and do the ritual part, which will magnify what you already
the meeting
had,
the peace meeting,
what you've already aligned yourself with
and aligned. That was the hard part. That was the heavy lifting of the Ebo. Because when we actually, you know, started doing the actual rituals, that was like,
it was at peace.
You know,
I was at peace. I was almost
you
like
floating. You could feel
like I was
the energy,
walking on water or something. Like, you know, I was zenned out, as they say. I was
zenned out, man. And like I said, we learned a lot. I learned a lot personally
Yeah, I learned
from watching our 2 OBAs that came, as well as our 2 priests. But I want to speak about the OBAs for a second. I want to give a shout out, and this is not, if people know me, I don't do this. Like I don't brown nose, I don't suck up, I don't where's another word I can't really use, but what's another way to say it? Like I don't just, I'm not gassing anybody up.
Right.
And I'm not a suck up, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Kabiesi, Obalufe, and Obasalu are real kings.
Ashe.
They are real. They are real Oba. They are real kings. We got to sit and just watch and observe everything.
Listen.
For 4 days, and we learned a lot from you all. So again, we want to thank you again. We learned a lot.
Listen. I'm one of those people where I'm very suspicious, of people that, I don't care if you're an emperor or a king or a chief.
We want to see, is it real or is it fake?
Right. So I kind of take the approach always of just, I don't say nothing to you, but I just watch you. Watch how you move. And when I saw these Abas, the Abba Lufe, Abba Salu, the Abba of the Oramian Temple, the Araba Agbaye. I watched them very closely on how they moved, and I was like, wow, these people are divine people. Like they really have a inner peace with them. And when they speak and the way they carry themselves, the way they present themselves, it's like, wow. You know how they say in Ejiogbe that human beings can become Orisha? It's like, that's how I saw. I said, wow, these people really move on a high. Their energy radiates on a high level, on a high frequency. Just being around them and you talking with them and they looking at you and you looking at them and they thinking something about you, but you thinking something, you like, okay, what are they thinking about me? It's like, you get that, like, wow, like these people, and I had a small, Abba Salu had a small conversation with me and 2 other sisters. I don't like putting people's names out on a platform like this, but I was part of that conversation, and he spoke about some things, and it was just like being in his presence and hearing him speak about some real life stuff and how you handle certain things. I was like, wow, I learned a whole lot just about when you're in the midst of certain situations, just having that level of peace will go so far. It's a power. Peace is a power. It's not weak. Being a person of peace
is not weak.
Is not weak. And I really saw that peace is really more powerful than
definitely
a person that just, you know how they say,
Wahala.
You ain't gonna get no food if you don't say nothing. I'm like, sometimes the person that don't say nothing end up getting most of the food. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that piece is very powerful, but you got to know when to use it, and when not to use it,
and when you gotta
say something or get aggressive. You got to know when, and that's the thing. That's the thing. The control, the discipline, the humility. When you get those, when you are humble, you know what I mean, and you're disciplined, and you obedient, because that's a word people don't talk about a lot anymore, is obedience. When you have those things, you're able to know when to just be disciplined and relax, know when to be peaceful, know when to be humble. But then you also know when, this is the time I need to get fired. I need to put some fire on this right now. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to work on. Our people in this country have to work on peace.
Yeah.
Because you see these speakers out here, you know, these black liberators, and they just be on these social medias just running their mouth. They be yapping. They got the knowledge and the wisdom and everything, but it's like they don't have that peacefulness and that humbleness. They be jaw-jacking.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and they be putting too much information out that they shouldn't be speaking about. Quiet. Do the work.
Yeah, I say.
Put your money where your mouth is. That's another thing I learned. Don't come around a table if you ain't doing your due diligence. Because where I grew up at, or the way I grew up, if you ain't putting no work in, you sit on the sidelines and don't say nothing.
If you're not putting in no work, just don't even come.
Don't come, don't say nothing. You might be invited, but go on and sit over there.
Don't act like you putting on the show. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, you know?
You gotta, if you are part of a group and you gotta be with the mission, and when everybody put their donation or whatever it is, when they put that on the table, contributions, whether it's physical work, whether it's financials, I don't care if it's cowrie share or pennies or whatever, but whatever you contribute, contribute something. Don't not contribute anything, but then got too much mouth to contribute.
And then you got all the things to say, and
it's not right.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
gotta,
fair.
You gotta pay like you weigh. Like you gotta contribute something to the mission,
to the group,
or
to
just,
the family,
just chill over there on the
to
sidelines. If you don't,
we don't need no jaw jackets,
no dead weight. Everybody has to pull some type of weight. So again, we want to thank
Jabba Jaws,
all of the chiefs, all the priests, all of the people in the community, in Oyatunji Kingdom who helped, Princess, everybody who donated and helped to host our delegates and to make this happen, because it was not cheapo, but we took care of. We took care of our esteemed delegates to the best of our ability, and they are happy. IFA is happy. Peace is happy. Olodumare is happy. So we thank everybody who helped to facilitate our dear Bobajiro, our Keto Oba, and everybody, our Afin Council, Omo Obas, everybody who played a role and a hand in making this happen. So
even the people that's outside that couldn't come but contributed.
I say
all of the Egbil Orishas that contributed. We send our love.
I say
we say Modupe. We greet you. We greet your Ashe. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So, this has been another episode of Let's Talk IFA. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe.
Ashe.
You can send email to letstalkifa@gmail.com. I am Awo Ifa Jaminire.
I am Awo Ifa Tegunshe.
And you were tuned in to
the best,
the greatest
podcast
on the planet Earth.
Let's Talk IFA. Ashe Odabo. Odabo. We love you all.
Odabo.
Ashe.